Hey, it's Sean. Welcome to the video version of Coach's Corner. Today's topic will be, will AI take development jobs? Now, a lot of people already have issued their thoughts on that. We've heard about Devin, the first AI coder. Some people think all developers are going to be obsolete in a year. Some say it's not going to be 20 years. I look at history. I've got my own thoughts on things. To me, AI is just another disrupting technology that will change the natures of jobs. If we look in history, if we look at engineering, we used to have drafters that were on a table. They've got their rulers and their pencils and they're making all these drawings, everything. Now we have AutoCAD. And to get into certain forms of engineering, you had to learn drafting, and you'd start as a drafter and then you'd move forward from there, but you had to have that skill. Now you have to know AutoCAD. In traditional engineering, we're talking like structurals and that kind of stuff, not software. AI is just going to be a tool. We can look at a bunch of other industries where technology has disrupted things, has displaced some workers, but then has created new positions or altered the nature of existing positions. So as I look at things that a new developer is going to need, you're going to need to learn to use generative AI to write code. It's a must, because AI can write basic, low-level, simple code far faster and better than most junior developers can. It's just true. It's building off a knowledge base that no single human is going to be able to possess, and if you possess that entire knowledge base, you wouldn't be a junior developer. So if you're a junior dev, someone entering this market, someone thinking about entering this market, or someone that's got a couple years in here, to me, learning to use these tools is the next step. It's just the same as using VS Code or Visual Studio or learning .NET or Java or React. It is a tool that you're going to need to learn to be effective and to compete. So when I say learning the AI tools, what am I talking about? The first one is about understanding how to create prompts. How do you get ChatGPT or any of the others to generate what you want? As I've done playing with things, and I've posted on this, I have found that there are certain ways to style those prompts that allow me to get the information I want. Usually the more specific the requirements I give the tool, the better things come out. I'm not worried about style. I'm worried about, does the class that I'm asking it to generate serve the purpose that I need? The clearer I can be about that purpose, the better things come out. So we've got prompts that we can use to generate boilerplate code, to generate basic database tables, to generate data access models, to generate repositories, even to generate a lot of our CRUD-related API functionality. Those, as a new developer, you should get very familiar with how to get the tools to generate those things for you. To say, hey, I want you to do this, I want you to do this, and learning to be specific. Write it in your own style, but learn how to get the tools to build those things for you by those prompts. The next step is refactoring code. Not all of your work is going to be on a new code base, writing brand new stuff. You may have to go in and work through old code that may have been written by humans and may not be optimal. Learning how to prompt ChatGPT to refactor code effectively is very powerful. And then finally, how to optimize code. How do you get ChatGPT or anything else to look at a code block and say, here's how this could be better. Here the current code is O of log n or O of n squared and give me a solution that is O of n. These are the things that the generative AI can do and do well. Recently, I had a little problem that I was trying to solve about how to parse some text in some interesting ways. I just gave the problem to AI. It came up with an excellent solution that is both fast and actually works. So that's the first thing. Learn how to build those prompts. Learn how to communicate with the tooling. So the second thing you're going to need to do is learn how to evaluate the code that's been generated. You can't accept it at face value. It may have bugs. Last night I was working on some things. ChatGPT gave me a test class that didn't work. The moment I put it into Studio, it did not compile. How do you fix that? Learning how to use your development tooling, your IDEs, VS Code, Studio, whatever, to evaluate things, and how to read the code with a critical eye, as if you were reading somebody else's code for PR, to make sure that it really does what what it purports to do. This is where tests come in, and tests are huge. If you're using AI to generate your tests, make sure that your tests run. Make sure that your tests are valid. Don't just copy, paste, and commit. Give it a little more time. AI is saving you a whole lot of time and keystrokes. Spend that time evaluating the code that it's giving. Finally, and perhaps the biggest thing that a new developer is going to need to learn is how to plan the work and design the work that's needed. When I have written code in the past, mine was a very organic, flowing style. I would write and I'd be like, oh, I need to figure this out. Oh, it turns out I need a thing here. Let's go create that class, and I'll create this class. Historically, I've not been great at planning out my work, except at a high level. I know I need to go from point A to point Z. Cool. How we get there is going to be interesting. As I've gotten older, the value in planning my work and understanding I needed this, I needed that, I needed this thing, I needed that thing, I needed this, boom, 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 boom. I'll probably use this kind of pattern here and this pattern here. Planning that out and documenting that for myself is incredibly valuable and actually saves me a whole lot of time. If we go back to English class, it's the same as writing an outline for an essay, and then you just fill in the details. It's the exact same concept. Now we have generative AI that is filling in a lot of those details for us. That means our outline has to be really good. It has to be spot on. Take the time, plan the work, do the thinking up front, and identify. I need this class. It should have a collection of these things. I need this, I need that, I need this other thing. I want to use XYZ. I want to have an enum for this that has these values. When you understand the concepts that you're playing with and even some of those details that are required for whatever it is you're building, you can communicate that to the generative AI and get a much cleaner, much more effective block of code, or blocks of code, than you will if you just say, hey, make me a system that does blah. It's not that smart. The generative AI is, I like to say, it's like a really smart 10-year-old. At some point, it may be good enough. It may rival senior developers, staff engineers, where you can say, I want a thing that does blah. And in 15 minutes, it's going to give you an immense amount of code, and it all works, and your entire program is built. We might be there someday. We're not there right now. But you can say, I need a class that represents X, has these fields, and off you go. Those sorts of things. So planning your work, ahead of time is going to be one of the biggest things that's going to set you apart. Even if you don't use generative AI, being able to plan your work ahead of time is going to set you apart as a new developer. But with using generative AI, if you don't plan your work, all you're going to get is garbage, and you're going to spend so much time reworking it, banging your head against the this code, trying to figure out what it was doing and why it doesn't do the thing that you think it was supposed to do, because you didn't tell it what it needed to do. There's an old saying, garbage in, garbage out. Generative AI is a great example of that. If you give it just a little bit if you give it garbage, you're going to get a whole lot of garbage out. It'll be creative, it might be interesting, it may not, it probably won't be useful. But if you give it detailed specifications of what you want it to generate, in my experience, you're going to get good quality back. So learn to plan your work ahead of time. Learn to use the tools, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Claude, whether it's Copilot. There's so many coming on board right now. We're going to have some great opportunity to explore, and I'm looking forward to ones that are more development oriented that I'm sure will be coming out. Learn to use those tools, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. It's like learning the difference between Visual Studio and VS Code. And then learn how to create those prompts. Create yourself a library of prompts that you can just fill in some blanks and off it goes. You're going to find that a lot of your code is repetitious. A lot of your coding tasks, especially early on, are repetitious. Create some prompts that'll help you generate that boilerplate for you. So those are my thoughts, a little rambling there on AI. Will it take your job? No. Is it going to make getting a job harder? Early on, yeah. But if you can use generative AI effectively, you're going to be able to bootstrap yourself into a job and into moving into higher positions faster. Because at the upper levels of programming, it's not about writing code. It's about how you think about things. And if you can think about things in a way that can get something else to generate it, congratulations, you're now a senior developer. Because a senior developer thinks about code and hopefully gives requirements to a junior developer so they can generate it. You have the opportunity to be your own senior developer with ChatGPT as your own junior. And you can do that as a junior developer. And that's going to give you a lot of power over the next few years as we really, as this whole industry embraces AI, not just as a gimmick, not just as a chat function, but we start really leveraging it to produce meaningful code and as a force multiplier. So with that, have a great day.